Mishnah says, people who are workers, working. Yeah, people used to work once upon a time. So if they're at the top of the tree, they can read Kriya Shema in the tree. Uberosh Nadbach, or on top of a Nadbach. Rashi explains that Nadbach is a binyan avonim, a stone building, I guess as opposed to a clay building, as opposed to a wood building, which is stable. Maybe this binyan avonim isn't so stable. So they've got this structure made out of stones. You read Kriya Shema at the top of it, they don't have to come down from the tree to say Kriya Shema. Masha'emin Rishonim lasis came betfilah. They're not permitted to do that with davening, with praying. To pray, you have to come down to pray. So Kriya Shema, they can say at the top of the tree. To pray, you have to come down. So what's the difference between prayer and Kriya Shema? What's the difference? So l'chayra, the Rishonim say that for Kriya Shema, you only have to say the first pasuk with kavanah. One sentence, kavanah, Shema Yisrael Hashem Hashem Echad. That's it. Yeah. So that they can do in a tree. You have to go down the tree, come back up to have kavanah. Concentrate for 10 seconds, 3 seconds. What does it take? 5 seconds. You concentrate for 3 seconds. Say the pasuk, you're done. But tefillah, you gotta concentrate the whole thing, or the first chapter. But it's already a whole chapter. It takes a few minutes. That's one option. Some say there's a fundamental difference between Kriya Shema, the kavanah of Kriya Shema and kavanah of tefillah. The kavanah of the intention you have to have during Kriya Shema is just think what the words mean. Hear, O Israel, Hashem is one, and you're done. With tefillah, you have to, when you're praying, you have to actually have kavanah that you're asking Hashem for rachmanos. You have to be begging for compassion. That's tefillah. It's a whole different level of kavanah. Therefore, you can't do that on the tree. It's harder to attain that in the tree. That's the general way to understand this. Says the gemorah. Says the Mishnah. Sorry. Chasen potem Kriya Shema. A chasen is potter. He's exempt from saying Kriya Shema, Laila Rishona, Vad Motzei Shabbos. From the first night he's married till after Motzei Shabbos, he's potter from Kriya Shema. Im loy osamaisa. I mean, he's potter all the while that he hasn't actually gone ahead and consummated his marriage. Then he's potter from Kriya Shema. But once he did the Maisa, so therefore then he has to say Kriya Shema. So it says he's potter from Kriya Shema. He's exempt. He doesn't have to say Kriya Shema. Now let's see. The Gemara says, Umaisa, there's a story that happened with Rabbi Gamliel, with the great Rabbi Gamliel. He got married to a woman, and he said Kriya Shema the first night. How did they know he said Kriya Shema? I guess she told everyone, or he told everyone, I don't know. He said Kriya Shema. So Amuloi Talmidai, his student said to him, we learned Shechasen Pater. The Chasen is exempt from saying Kriya Shema. You said Kriya Shema. Amalahem, he said to them, Eini shemelachem levatel hemi malchus shemayim afil shachas. I'm not going to listen to you guys to cancel Kriya Shema, to not say Kriya Shema even for 1 minute. So a bit of a machlokes is what's going on here in the Mishnah. Is this story coming to contradict the Mishnah, or is it coming to help it? What's going on over here? Take a look in Taisus. Taisus says a Keres Shema, third Taisus. Ma'aseh bar Gamliel. What's the story of Rabbi Gamliel? So Taisus says, Lav Ma'aseh listahu. This story is not coming to contradict what we just said. It's not coming to say that you might think you're potter from Kriya Shema, so you see the Rabbi Gamliel said Kriya Shema. To Kamash Milan, Im Gadolhu, Obeteach Ba'atzmai, what's the Mishnah coming to tell me? You're potter from Kriya Shema, but if he's a great person, Obeteach Ba'atzmai, Shechal Eschaven, and he knows he can concentrate, then he should say Kriya Shema. Okay, so it's not coming, the story is not coming to contradict, the story is coming to, it's an assist. Others want to say they want to be Medayik. What's the story? Because they said to him, in the story, what happened in the story? They said to him, Didn't you teach us that Chossen's potter? So from here you see, that's what the Gemara is bringing a raya. You see that Chossen's potter, he taught them a Chossen's potter. So why is he himself Chaim? Okay, there's a reason why he said Kriya Shema. But he's bringing a raya from here that they said you potter, and that's a proof that Chossen's potter from Kriya Shema, because they told Rav Galil, aren't you potter? And the answer is, yeah, Chossen's potter, but I go ahead and I machmer on myself. That's one obvious way to learn the Mishnah. The question is that he says to them, Ein Yishai Melechem, I'm not going to listen to you. The mashmais is that they were saying to him that you're not allowed to say Kriya Shema. In other words, what? They came to him and said, didn't you teach us a Chossen's potter? So what if a Chossen's potter? If a Chossen's potter, then it becomes also to say Kriya Shema. So they came to him and said, why didn't you say Kriya Shema? It's potter. You're not obligated to say Kriya Shema. And if you're potter, now it becomes also to say Kriya Shema. So then he said to them, Ein Yishai Melechem, I'm not going to listen to you, meaning you're telling me it's also to say Kriya Shema. I'm going to say Kriya Shema anyway. That's the mashmais of that's how the Tfresh Soul wants to understand the Mishnah. That they're telling him it's also to say Kriya Shema. Why would it be also to say Kriya Shema once it's potter? One or two reasons. Either because there's a Yerushalmi gemorah that says, Chizkiya Eimer, if you potter from something and you do it, you're a hedyot. You're a simpleton. Meaning you're a hedyot, you're an idiot, you potter, don't do it. Why are you saying Kriya Shema? Others go so far as to say, because if you potter from Kriya Shema and you're saying Kriya Shema, it's like Baal Taisif. It's Baal Taisif. You're not allowed to start doing mitzvahs. You're not allowed to do something if it's a mitzvah. You potter from saying Kriya Shema. Why are you saying Kriya Shema? Don't do it, right? Baal Taisif. So they came to this Rabbi Gamliel and they said, didn't you teach us it's your potter? And if it's potter, it's also. So why are you saying Kriya Shema? You told us it's potter. Potter is also. So he told them, Ein Yishai Melechem, I'm not listening to you. Levatel Kriya Shema afilu shah achas. Meaning what? We heard. Meaning what? Meaning you shouldn't say Kriya Shema, and therefore, since you're potter for saying Kriya Shema, it's us to say Kriya Shema. So why is this guy saying Kriya Shema? So it could be this thing is not a Maisa list. All right. So it says the. One minute. Hold on. Let's try and hold on a second. All right. So it says the gemorah. Tan Rabbanan. The workers, they say they read Kriya Shema on top of the tree or on top of the building. And they can daven on top of an olive tree or a date tree, fig tree. What's a fig tree? All other trees, they should come down and pray. So what's the difference? So Rashi explains. Take a look in the first Rashi in the Gemara. Rashi says by a olive tree, the olive tree's got a lot of strong branches. He can stand there easily. It's not a challenge to stand there. The problem is, normally a guy's scared he's going to fall. You can't concentrate, you're scared you're going to fall. But in these trees, the olive tree and the taina tree, he's not scared he's going to fall. He's not worried. Therefore, you can say, but other trees where it's dangerous and he's worried, so you can't concentrate, come down. You should come down to daven. Balabayis, however, not the worker, but the balabayis, the business owner, the boss. Either way, you should go down from the tree to daven. Lefi, why? Lefi she'ein daitem yeshivs alav. This the boss. He doesn't have yeshiva das. He doesn't have peace of mind to daven to pray at the top of this tree. It's confusing. Come down from a tree. But the worker, since he's working, he doesn't have to do that. So it says the gemorah, Rami le Rav Mari bara Rav Mari barod Shmuel. I guess Shmuel's grandson. L'Rova. He said to Rava, Tanan. It says in the Mishnah, people who are workers, they can say Kriya Shema on the top of a tree. On top of this rocky building. Alma, loy by kavana. What do we see from the Mishnah? Why can they say Kriya Shema on top of a tree? Because you don't need to concentrate. That's why you can say Kriya Shema at the top. For a minu, it's a contradiction. We just saw a couple of days ago that when you say Kriya Shema, you have to have kavana. So what is it? Make up your mind. Do you have to have kavana or do you not have to have kavana? Shenema Shema Yisrael. It says Shema Yisrael, v'l'halalaima haskes Shema Yisrael. Pay attention, listen to Israel. So you have to have kavana. So how can you say Kriya Shema on top of the tree? The Gemara says, Ma l'hala and b'haskes, afka and b'haskes. That's what Gemara learns of that. You have to have kavana. Ishtik, he didn't know the answer. He kept quiet. Amalei, did you hear anything about this? Do you have a teretz? Okay. What do you say? Amalei, hachi amar Shas. I'll tell you, this is what Rav Shas said. V'hu shebetelim melachta v'kairin. The Mishnah says, V'hu shebetelim melachta v'kairin. When they say Kriya Shema at the top of the tree, they're at the top of the tree picking the olives. Doesn't mean they're still picking the olives and saying Kriya Shema. They have to stop the job they're doing and then say Kriya Shema, implying that they have to have kavanah. So there's no contradiction. Our Mishnah also says you have to have kavanah. Just they can have kavanah at the top of the tree. That doesn't bother their kavanah. Vatanya, it says in a brisa, says they do their job and they read Kriya Shema. Loi kasha. Didn't Beis Hillel say that they can work while they're saying Kriya Shema? And you just said they have to stop. So what is it? They have to work or they stop? So there's a difference. The first perek where you have to have kavanah, you stop. Second perek where you don't have to have kavanah, there you can work while you're saying Kriya Shema. Tana Rabbanan. Workers who are working for some boss, they say Kriya Shema. They say Kriya Shema. And they say the brachas, lefnei v'lachareh, before Kriya Shema, after Kriya Shema, they say the brachas. And they eat their bread. And they say the brachas before you eat and the blessings after you eat. And they daven Shemona, so the 18 brachas. They shouldn't go to be the chazan. They shouldn't go to be the chazan in the shul. They don't do berachas kahanim. Rashi says there's too much of a tirda for them. It's going to take them too much out of their work. It's going to waste too much time. That they shouldn't do. It says they should do me'ein yud ches. These workers, they should do a short version of Shemona. So what does me'ein yud ches mean? Rashi says it means the 3 at the beginning, 3 at the end, and 1 in the middle. One in the middle that sums everything up. So they have 7 brachas, not 18. Amar of Shas is like kasha. This is not a kasha. Why? Or Rabbi Gamliel, or Rabbi Yeshua. There's a machlaikas. Rabbi Gamliel, Rabbi Yeshua. So this is Rabbi Yeshua that says you only have to do 7 brachas. Gemara asks, Rabbi Yeshua. If this is Rabbi Yeshua, Ma'ir Payalim. Why does he talk about Payalim? The only Payalim can say Me'ein Yud Ches. I feel Kol Adam Nami. Rabbi Yeshua says anyone could say this Havinenu, right? Or Me'ein Yud Ches. Rashi says Me'ein Yud Ches is called, what does Rashi say over here? Havinenu, yeah, Havinenu, Rashi says. You say 1 brach in the middle, it's called Havinenu. Elo, so Gemara answers. Idi, Rabbi Gamliel. They're both Rabbi Gamliel. You're right. According to Rabbi Yeshua, anyone could say, according to Rabbi Yeshua, everyone's good with saying 7 brachas. So this has to be Rabbi Gamliel. So why is it here he says Yudches and there he says Me'in Yudches? But like Asher, Kam Ba'asim B'scharan, Kam Ba'asim B'sudasan. This is a massive chiddush. The Gemara says, if they're doing it b'scharan, they're making a salary, they're making a decent living wage, then they get to what's called, then they see the seven brachas. They're getting paid good money from the boss. Don't take a big lunch break to go daven for half an hour. You're getting paid a good wage. Make it snappy. Kam ba'asim b'sudasan. If they're only working to put food in their mouth, they're getting minimum wage. They're getting below minimum wage. I don't know what's going on over here. This is the right time to talk about minimum wage. But if they're only getting minimum wage, they're getting just enough money to go buy some bread to eat, right? So then, if you're not paying them decently, at least let them pray. Then they can say the whole Shemona Esrei properly. That's what the Gemara is saying. Very interesting. Vatanya, it says in the Brisa, and this is proof that this is the Rashi is not a kash on this. This is proof. Normally Vatanya would be a kasha. Vatanya, it says in the Brisa. Here it means Rashi says it's a proof. I'll back you up. It says a pailin sha'osim melacha itzel balabais. These workers, kaim kriyishma mispalim v'chapitak. Ve'im mevarchen lefanea. They eat the bread. They don't make a bracha beforehand. But mevarchen lachareya. They do make a bracha afterwards. Why? Because the bracha afterwards is doraisa, it's biblical. The bracha beforehand is only from the Rabbanon. So, Ketzad, the Gemara asks, Ketzad, what brachas do they make? Bracha is Shayna Kitikuna. The first bracha you do properly of Brachas HaMazon he's talking about now. Which bracha and Brachas HaMazon should you do? First bracha Brachas HaMazon. Hazan Yisrael Kula B'Tovai, say that bracha. Shniya Pesach B'Brachas HaAretz. The Neidelacha, the second bracha. You start with Brachas HaAretz, V'Kailin B'nei Yerushalayim. And you include in the second bracha also the third bracha of B'nei Yerushalayim. B'Brachas HaAretz. You include B'nei Yerushalayim, which is the third bracha. Bracha Hashem B'nei Yerushalayim, B'nei Bracha Yerushalayim. That's the third bracha. You throw that together in the second bracha. But he doesn't say at all the fourth bracha. The fourth bracha, which was added later, you don't say the fourth bracha at all. When do we say you get to chop things up, make it snappy? That's when does he say all these brachas? That's when he's getting the full salary. If he's working and the boss just gives him something to eat, or gives him money to buy food, or if you yourself are the balabais, you're the boss, do you get to do a short version? No. Or if you're working and the balabais is with you together, say the full bracha. Okay, then you say the full bracha. So you see from here that there's a difference between whether you're working for a living wage or you're just getting paid to put food on the table. Ton Rabbanon. Now, rabbis taught, this is a gemorah, we've had a similar gemorah beforehand. Ton Rabbanon. What does it mean? It says when you say Krishma, when you're sitting in your house, say Krishma. So, if, since our Mishnah is talking about the fact that Chos is pot from Krishma, right? Where do you learn it from? It says if you're sitting in your house, you say Krishma. But if you're doing a mitzvah, you're busy doing mitzvahs, you're pot from Krishma. What does V'lech Chabaderach teach me? When you're on your journey, say Krishma. Prat l'chasen. That tells me a chasen is pot from Krishma. So what we ask is, why does a chasen need a separate drasha? The chasen is also doing a mitzvah. So we said because the chasen, he's pot from Krishma even before he's doing a mitzvah. Just the fact that he's Torah, he's bothered, he's going to have to do this mitzvah. So therefore he's potter. From here we see that someone who marries a basula, it's her first time, he's pot from Krishma. If he's marrying someone, a widow, so he's chayv say Krishma. So my mashma, Omer of Papa Kiderech. Where do you see this from? It says Kiderech. It's going to be like the derech. Ma derech rishus, avhacha nami rishus. Just like the derech, the guy's going wherever he wants. it's not a chiv to go on a derech. It's not a chiv to travel. Avkan rishus. Mila skin in the kazel of a mitzvah. Maybe derech means he's going to do a mitzvah. Maybe derech means he's going on the journey to do a mitzvah. And Torah says, say Krishma, when you're going on this derech to do mitzvahs. If that's true, the Torah should have said belechas b'derech. When you're going on a journey, belechtecha, my belechtecha, shvamelo belechas lidach. You're going on a journey for your own purposes. And if it's for your own purposes, you're not going to do a mitzvah, you're not going to help anyone, you're going to get a slice of pizza, say Krishma. Belechas lidach u'd'mchayiv had a mitzvah p'turis. If you're going to do a mitzvah, you're pata. If you're going for your own things, you're chayiv. If that's true, why only if he's marrying a basula? Even if he's marrying a widow, he should have to say, he should be part from Krishma. So Gemara answers, he is disturbed, he's bothered, he's emotionally, I don't know what it is. He's tired. He's busy. He's bothered. He's only tired if he's marrying a girl that's the first time she's married. But if she's already divorced, she's been married before, there's no problem. He's not tired. Even the Gemara says, if the reason why he's part of Krishma is because he's bothered, I feel it okay, so if he's tired, then even if his boat's gone ahead and sunk, and he's tired, he's busy trying to save his chayra, trying to save his stuff, he should also be pata. Alama Amar Rabba Ba'azavta. So why did Rabba Ba'azavta say, Amarav, Eva Chai V'chol Mitzvah Mos B'Torah Chutz Min HaTefillin? Why did he say that someone who's mourning is chayv in all mitzvahs except for tefillin? Because it says Be'em Peher. Shenarinem Be'em Peher, Shenem Ha'pecha Chofish Alecha. So what do you need to come on to that for? This Aval is tired. He's busy mourning. Why do you need a separate drasha to tell me these part from tefillin? The mourning that the Aval does, he's allowed to mourn. It's a tirda, he's bothered, but it's because it's something he's allowed to do. It's not a mitzvah for him to mourn. We saw Rashi before says there's no mitzvah for someone that's mourning to mourn. He has to treat the dead with respect and therefore not do certain things, not shave, and not shave and not do certain things because that's disrespectful for the dead. He's allowed to mourn. It's not a mitzvah for him. There's no chiyuv for him to mourn. It's just a natural process, and the Torah says, okay, he's allowed to do it. All right. 1 second. Should we see the next Mishnah or should we save it for tomorrow? That's the question here. Okay, let's start the next Mishnah. Rachatz Laila Rishon Shemesa Ishtai. He's talking about Rabbi Gamaliel here. That he took a shower the first night that his wife passed away. He bathed. Amr loy tamidav. The student said to him, "Lematenu Rabbeinu, didn't you teach us sha'aval asa lirchatz? You taught us that someone this morning is not allowed to shower. He's not allowed to take a bath. He's not allowed to bathe." Amar lahem. He said to them, "Eini k'shar b'nei Adam. I'm not like everyone else. Istanis ani. I am a istanis." Rashi says istanis means someone who's mu'unig u'mufunik, someone that's pampered, spoiled, someone that's lived a fancy life. So for him, we'll see Taisa says, what's the difference? So Taisa says, take a look at Taisus. Who cares if he's an istanis? Second Taisus. Taisa says, istanis ani v'ikatzarim lo yayoraychetz. If he doesn't shower, it bothers him. He suffers, right? There's suffering involved. It's only forbidden to shower that you shouldn't go ahead and be pampering yourself. You shouldn't be go ahead and doing fun stuff, right? That's disrespectful. That's whatever it is. That's also. Rechitzim shum tanug, enjoying, taking a hot bath and relaxing, that shouldn't do. But if someone's an istanis, if someone's spoiled and pampered, he's not showering because he wants to enjoy himself. He's showering in order they shouldn't be disgusted. But gam lochu froishai, he's allowed to wash his hair. If his hair is dirty, he's allowed to do even in the shiva of the 7 days of mourning. A woman who gives birth, they can shower on Tisha B'Av even. So if someone's got things in his hair, he's allowed to wash it, even on Yom Kippur. It's not called on Yom Kippur you're not allowed to, it's the rice already. On Yom Kippur you're not allowed to wash. But it's not called you're washing for the washing that's also is the rechitza shel tainug. If someone's dirty on Yom Kippur, he went somewhere and he got full of dirt. So that's it, he has to sit in the dirt the whole of Yom Kippur? No, you can wash it off. You're not allowed to wash. The bathing that's also is a bathing of enjoyment, of pleasure. That's what's also. It's not also to clean yourself. So if this guy's the istanis, for him, if you don't shower today, he's disgusted, it's dirty, he feels icky. So therefore he's allowed to shower. This is what the Yerushalmi says. Also, berchitza, shel tainug. It's also to enjoy bathing. Showering that's not enjoyable, that's mutar. It says someone's got things in their hair, he's allowed to, scratches or bumps, whatever it is, he's allowed to shower. So we see that there's two different types of what's it called? Yeah. Just a quick note on the last thing. I don't think I mentioned. So we said that this guy, Rabbi Gamliel, he said Kriya Shema, right? He said Kriya Shema on the first night he got married, and we said that there's a problem. You shouldn't say Kriya Shema because you're potter. Why you're potter? And if you're potter, it's asa. So why was he allowed to say Kriya Shema? If it's potter and potter is asa, so how can he say Kriya Shema? Why did he say Kriya Shema? Why isn't it Bal Taisif? Why isn't it whatever it is? Why is he not ahead yet? What's going on here? He says any Shemelch I'm listening to Levata Kriya Shema. So it's a three-way machlekes. Why is something why are you three-way machlekes? Why Rabbi Gamliel was allowed to say Kriya Shema? Either because it's only asa, you're only ahead yet. You're only an idiot to do something if it's mechzik yehira. If it looks like you're trying to do it out of gaiva, you're trying to get points and people should see you and wow, look how choshev this guy is. But Rabbi Gamliel anyway was the most choshev a person. He was a massive tzaddik at Talmud Chacham, everyone knew. So therefore it's not called yehira. People know he's doing it l'shem shemaim. He's doing it for the right reasons.
Maybe it was painful for him not to do it.
Painful not to.
You know, like the shower.
It's
delicate.
Same Rabbi Gamliel. He was asking this. He couldn't go. So interesting. No one says that pshat. So the first pshat they say is that it's only also to do something that's mechzik yahira. If something's potter, let's say it's raining in your sukkah, you're potter from a sukkah. So if it rains, don't sit in the sukkah. You're potter, but you're allowed to. No, it's mechzik yahira. It looks like you're firmer than everyone else. Everyone else leaves the sukkah. No, I'm going to stay. You're firmer. You're better. I'm better than everyone else. Don't act like you're better. But Rabbi Gamliel was better. He was the God Allah. So there's nothing wrong with looking like you're better than everyone else. That's the first option. The second option is because, guess what? You really any other mitzvah you shouldn't do. Sukkah, you shouldn't sit in the sukkah if it's raining, even if you're the God Allah. But here, since he's been makabel malchus shemayim, the yoke of God, you're right. The mitzvah of Kriya Shema doesn't need to do and he shouldn't do. But besides the fact that it's a mitzvah, he's also accepting himself the yoke of heaven. And that's a good thing to do always. So that's why he can do it. The third thing they say is that there's a fundamental difference over here. Why can't you say Kriya Shema? Because why would the guys who not say Kriya Shema? Because you're not going to have kavanah. So you're part from Kriya Shema. Okay. And now you want to tell me that it's Mexico to say it. That you're a hedyot to say Kriya Shema, right? You're a hedyot if you say Kriya Shema. The answer is I'm not a hedyot because I can have. He had kavanah. If he has kavanah, it's definitely not a hedyot. And he has kavanah. He said Kriya Shema Mekayim Mitzvah D'Oraisa. So that's not called your hedyot because he was able to have kavanah. The whole problem is you can't have kavanah. But if you have kavanah, you're right. You're potter. You're potter. But you're not a hedyot because he was able to do the mitzvah with kavanah. But that wouldn't apply to sukkah, for example. If you pot from a sukkah, you're potter. Here, the whole reason why I potter is because you can't have kavanah, but I can have kavanah. So it doesn't really apply to me, the ptor. You're right, I'm potter. Allah I'm potter. But since I could have kavanah, that's it doesn't mean I'm a hedyot. Because I said Krishna is Makai in the midst of the rice with kavanah, like you're supposed to. Why am I hedyot exactly? Why am I stupid? I did it. Because I'm potter. But potter, I'm only potter because I can't have kavanah, but I could have kavanah.
It's raining in the sukkah. First night.
So you're potter. There's no mitzvah.
You all go out to say a bracha. You say kiddush.
Yeah.
Then you go in.
Right.
You wouldn't sleep that night if you couldn't do that. It doesn't matter.
Right, because yeah. So you have to say that you have to. The rain is not a p'tur on the first night of sukkahs. The first night of sukkahs, rain doesn't bother you because there's a chiyuv. The chiyuv is even if it's raining, you have to have your first kazayas in the sukkah. Then you go inside. That doesn't bother you. Oh, yeah, it's different. But the rest of the meal, you got to go inside. You're potter. Why are you eating in the sukkah in the rain? Now you're just suffering for no reason. You're eating. It's raining on you. You're eating in the sukkah. Well, you're just suffering. And there's no mitzvah. If there's a mitzvah, great. But there's no mitzvah. Here he's saying, I have a mitzvah. There's a mitzvah d'oraisa. He's a Chaim mitzvah d'oraisa. He said Kriya Shema with more kavanah than we've ever had in our entire life. Right? Why shouldn't he say it? All right. We'll end up over here. Have a wonderful day.